Mhm. For sure. And you wanted me to basically rephrase it so it's recorded? Okay. So I guess the short summary of that is, make sure I heard all that right, is that what happens whenever when a rep is like going to a show and they don't get the email or whatever, like the details of the event, and then something goes south, I'm guessing, and then they start to doubt, like, why am I paying this coordinator? I feel like he should be doing all that stuff. Is that right? Okay. So personally, for me, like, we do follow that model to where, okay, so unpack a little bit real quick. So whenever the emails come in, they go to me and Angie from events department, just like all of you guys get. It's an automatic like forward to the person taken care of. I do preface it so, and I set the right expectations for the team members. I tell the team members all the time, what we send you as a bonus, what you find out is what's needed. So when people sign up for events, they have the clear understanding that, like, hey, when you pick an event, once your name is on that, yeah, we'll send in the booking request and we've done all the legwork for you. But once you put your name on that, everything like up to that event is all 100% you. Anything we send you is straight up a bonus. So I think it's about setting proper expectations. If people expect a certain thing and you don't deliver that certain thing, or you under-deliver that certain expectation, then people are going to start doubting you. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if it's happened on any programs I've had. I'm sure there's been a certain point in time like where someone's been like, I don't know about Dante, and hasn't been brought to me. But if it ever did, it would hurt, because we do a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of unappreciated work. But it is reality. So I think once we swallow that pill, we can move forward. So that would be my answer to you, though. I think you reframe the expectation of once you sign up, it's on you. Anything you get, that's extra. Yes. Oh, yeah. If anyone ever asks me the hours, I'm really good at responding, guys. I will not respond to that. If they know. What's the... Park. Where do I park? God. Michael.
Sponsorship expansion. Basically, Leah or whoever wants to answer this, go for it. But what I've seen in the past is when sponsorship is, at least in our division, sponsorship is acquired, all the other promoters talk to each other, and all of a sudden, all the shifts get raised. So it's been the hesitation. I don't know. Have you experienced it? It's a rumor. And I'm just kind of curious, is that the experience when sponsorship has been,
Yeah.
doors been open?
Yeah. So just to make sure we're clear here on the question, the concern is I'm paying more to promoter A, and I'm worried that promoter B and C are going to be expecting more.
It's definitely happened in the past. Obviously, evolution's but I'm just kind of curious if
Yeah.
you've experienced that.
I have not experienced that, but if I were, I would welcome the conversation and be like, cool, we could talk about it, but this is what they're doing for me. What will you do? And that's,
In terms of cost, it's very, if you want to be a platinum partner at Orange County Fair, for instance, it's like a 10 by 20 is $20,000, and our 16 by 8 is $16,800. It's a premium price, $100 per square foot. So we know going into OC Fair, it's always $36,000. So that's a non-negotiable. If we want to have these prime end caps, we need to pay that price. So there's not like, oh, this vendor over here is paying only this much. They negotiated better. LA Fair, building 4 booths are always going to be more money because it's a prime building, and then you pay X amount per square foot. I think LA Fair, I think we spend maybe $36,000 to $40,000 as well, but we have 3 booths there because there's more opportunity. It's not as expensive as the Orange County Fair. But in terms of other shows that I've run into, it's a standard cost. And a lot of the vendors, they have a scarcity mentality, so they have this idea that, oh, well, Cutco's doing well, and so they're maybe paying, less or more. You know what I'm saying? There's this idea, but in California, it's very standardized. Like, this is the cost, and everybody's paying the same one because they know people talk. So I don't think Washington would be that way, but maybe dig deeper and find out.
Further along that point, because so many of the sponsorship levels that we work with promoters, they're all pretty standardized. How do you walk that fine
Yeah, I mean, the first step was just getting accepted, because up until that point, we were not accepted as a sponsor. From there, it was getting on the same page where it's like, hey, I'm really excited about this. You know, on the back end, I was like, obviously, you know, we average 240 grand a booth, so paying 20, 30 grand for a spot, although sucks compared to the other spots. You know, we do split it equally across the 3 booths, but, you know, that extra cost, like, yeah, it sucks, but we're going to profit. The way I approached it is, hey, really am appreciative of this. I want us to work together so we create a win-win for us promoting the Biggie more effectively for you guys with our customers, and us having a better presence and a greater partnership with you guys. And then that's my biggest philosophy. It's like, how can I make this a win for me? But while I'm trying to go after that win for my team, I'm presenting it as a win for them. So that way they're more excited about it. If it's okay, actually, I want to share the recipe cards that you guys saw that they pass out flyers for us. One of the biggest things that, you know, now I'm looking back at my message, it's like, how did you get them to make flyers for you and pass out? That seems like free labor. The only reason I was able to do that is they were already going to have some type of like recipe card and promo piece going out for the farmers markets demonstrations, and they had the intention of promoting that. They showed it to me because it had our logo, and you know, they want to make sure I liked it because that's for them the carrot for me. And I said, this is really cool. Can we enlarge this and do a promo piece to actually promote where we are at the event? The Biggie's massive. And as nice as this is, it's not a win for my team if customers have no idea where we are. And that's kind of how I pivoted the conversation there. I have a great relationship now with 3 key players as far as the decision-making process goes. And I approach every conversation with, this is our 3-year plan as far as our sponsorship partnership with you. And then it's not just, what do I want this year? It's what I want 3 years from now. Because then they're like, okay, cool, he's not just paying $40,000, he's paying $120,000, you know.
And just to add to that, because I've watched Dave do this, he also gets them to be like raving fans of Dave. So like getting your promoter to be a big fan of you, I think helped a lot. Like Jill's always coming to the booth like, what do you need, Dave? How's it going? And like Dave, you know, it's really cool to watch. But like, you know, I think you gave Jill like a showstopper. You guys all know John Rowland and his like crazy awesome gifts. Tim, the guy that we never got a chance to sit down with, Dave went to meet with him in person, got him this like amazing personalized John Rowland gift. I don't know how to, is there a special name for it? Yeah. But like, you know, make them be a raving fan of you, I think can help a lot. Yeah.
Also, I forgot to mention in my talk about how to somehow talk to a promoter to actually allow you to have that second booth is you have to make them feel that you want their show to be the best of its kind in that state. So I leveraged a lot of the getting a second booth for Orange County Fair, kind of pitting it against LA Fair. It's like, because they're always competing, the 2 fairs, like which one's gonna have more people, which one's gonna have more sales. And so when I got the second booth at OC Fair, I'm like, listen, we have 2 booths already at LA Fair, and we want Orange County Fair to be even bigger and better than LA Fair. And you have to understand, my team, we sent out emails and postcards to 50,000 people to help promote your fair. So that way people come to the fair, because obviously they're gonna come for Cutco, but they're also gonna buy from this vendor and this vendor and this vendor. And so they're like, oh wow, you guys are promoting this fair. So maybe we should give you another spot because you're helping promote. So what are we doing marketing wise? Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of tie-in where we could do postcards and all that stuff for what you did for Big E, so I wish. I'm gonna bring in a mic, okay? Right.
Well, I'm really loud.
I just want to make sure that we're recording.
Just a question for Leah. You guys are so good at getting multiple booths at your fairs, and that's a focus for us as well. I'm curious, at what level do you start looking at other shows, home shows, markets? Is it based off sales you're getting, attendance? What metrics do you use to decide to add an additional booth?
So when it comes to like.
Use the mic. Use the mic. Use the mic, yeah.
So when we did the Hermosa Beach Street Fair, pre-COVID, it was like we had two different booths because we noticed some people walk in from this street and never come to the other street. So we're just like, how to expand from just selling like 10 to 15 grand in this one little spot to maybe do a 20K. And so we're like, let's try another spot. So the metrics is, are we actually talking to a majority of the people there? And a lot of the times we're like, no, we're not. You know, it'll be fun one day where at the mall, I get to that level where I have enough booths and people where I could put our Nordstrom wing mall and then have the Macy's wing kiosk. So that is long-term vision, but that's why I gotta keep on adding people. And I have buy-in from my division manager. Anthony Hayes is here, Austin's here. Like, people in our region are noticing, our management team is seeing that. And they're actually helping financially buy some of our booths because it's so much already to pay $36,000. Well, we only produce 440 grand at OC Fair, but we're paying a premium. But I have the long-term vision of what if OC Fair gets bigger and I can get that third booth? I want to be ready, so hopefully that answers it.
Here. Here.
I'm good. So I had a question for actually all four of you. If you think back to when you were growing beyond $1 million and then trying to expand, the division. So two questions. A, what were the things that you guys, if you had back then, now, what would you have appreciated from DVM division manager team? So like BAs, assistant training, just infrastructure and things like that we could have given you that would have been a godsend back then. And then second question is, as you guys grow, what would you most appreciate being able to delegate to the district manager team so that we can work through the offices? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. That is a lot to unpack, and I love how the mic got passed to me. I'll throw in my 2 cents. I just had to throw that out there. I am very appreciative of the support that I received from my DVM when I first moved to Connecticut. Since then, I've received more territory where I coordinate Connecticut, Long Island, part of Mass, Vermont, some other parts of New York. And ultimately, although my DVM is my boss, the way we approached it is we are partners in it. And he has placed, and now I work with 2 DVMs, they both have placed a large amount of trust that I essentially know what I'm doing. That being said, I am very intentional of making sure they're kept in the loop of everything that's going on. So although they do have blind trust in me, they're never in the dark about anything. And as far as that goes, they've always promoted the opportunity. And I've always approached it in that sense. I'm like, as long as you promote the opportunity, have it front and center at all talks, division meetings, any promos that you're doing about Leadership Academy, tying it in, working in conjunction with Leadership Academy and the development of managers. As long as you just get me the people, I got you covered. So that's my 2 cents on the first question.
Yeah, I'll touch on the first one. What I wish I knew when I first started coordinating, or what I wish I did. I feel like the biggest thing that came to mind was go to the staff meetings, like the district staff meetings, like way sooner. I didn't start doing that until like 4 years in. So it was a lot harder to get the managers to have that buy-in. So I would say that if you're like just starting off coordinating, like be at every staff meeting like that your division runs. Even if you're not speaking, I usually try to get on the agenda, but just get there. Yeah.
So I got the coordinator role because of Vivint, because all the managers left in my DVM, honestly. So 2014 when I took over, prior to that, the DVM micromanaged the hell out of the event program because they wanted to make sure their reps from their office got all the shifts or the majority of the stuff because therefore his office will have more CPO than the districts. So the minute he was gone, there was no micromanagement. So I decided, Hans Hilton was a big promoter of like, you're going to take it over and we're going to create something. And we just started taking it over. I wish at that point I did have a DVM. Thank God Jay Brad came in, and he's been like, we talk about certain things over the phone, because I was never in any management meetings prior to that. Even though I was running, I got us into the Orange County Fair, not even being a coordinator back in the day. So one thing is, I wish I was in meetings from the get-go, and that way I could share my vision. And, you know, showing that I actually know how to run things too. Just because I'm not a DM, I chose never to branch. I chose not to do any of that kind of stuff. I chose to be a leader, and then I'm good at organizing stuff. So also to delegate now to the management team, please teach your reps how to sharpen knives and do service calls. Okay? That is not a coordinator's job, to teach them how to sharpen a knife, to get them to, because we do a lot of sharpening appointments at our shows. The ones that allow us to bring in knives, you know, the outdoor shows, the mall kiosk program. The reason why pound for pound, my kiosks are the best, pound for pound. I only have 2. I wish I could have more to staff it, because I know I can get $90,000 to $100,000 at each mall that I get into. And so please teach your reps on how to sharpen and how to do a proper service call. Watch them do it in front of you. Go cross-training if you can as a manager, or delegate that to an AM to go check stuff out. Because I don't need a bad rap when people are getting their knife sharpened and the rep is screwing up. So that's that.
I have so many thoughts here.
Keep it to 3.
Yes. So so starting off the bat, here's what I got written down first. Number 1, Austin, I really appreciate you asking this question. For you guys that don't know, he's an ADVM from the Washington team, and so it's promoted very much. NET is like SLC, but for the events program. So I think he deserves a round of applause for making the trip over here as an ADVM. I think it's very, very powerful when division managers, assistant division managers, or lead district managers see the potential of this program, and Austin's taken like full advantage of it, like 100%. Like, he's had some studs that he's recruited in recent years who have become straight up cornerstones in his business that helped him win his Silver Cup and get his Rolex this year. That is awesome. So these are good questions, right? But they're very real questions. So here's kind of what I've promoted to Manny and his DVM Nick whenever they created their division. I view the DVM and coordinator role as like an NFL structure on the management level, and this can apply to a lot of different sports franchises, but go Cowboys sometimes. So we ain't dumb boys. So with that being said, with the NFL structure, it's very simple. The way I view it is, so I have 2 DVMs as well. I have Stacy and Kathy, and the DVMs in my eyes are the owners of the team. And who are the best owners? The owners are the ones. The owners of the team are very supportive. Moving on. The owners of the team are very supportive of what you're trying to do. But I love the Cowboys and I hate the Cowboys. Why? Because Jerry Jones can buy the players he wants, but he needs to stop meddling. And so one of the biggest problems, pros and cons of a DVM that's engaged, is be supportive but don't meddle. You have to stay in your lane. Now that comes to the next part here. I view the coordinator role as the head coach of the team, right? The best coaches are the ones that have the power and who are empowered by the DVM or the owner to make those decisions, the hard ones and the easy ones. If you decide to make a decision that you feel like is best for the program, your DVM should 100% back you up. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't question things. Again, you are never beyond question. Checks and balances, right? But that also means, like, I've had plenty of times where Stacy or Kathy come to me and be like, hey, I see, like, we've added this new standard, with new policy, whatever. Like, totally in support, but can you fill me in on the history why we're here? Yep, here's why we did this. Got it, makes sense. And by the way, 99% of the time, they're like, okay, now I understand, I support this. 1% of the time, like one time that I've been coordinator, I think Stacy felt very strongly about it differently, and like we compromised and we made something that worked for both sides of things. But it's very rare. But piggybacking on the third part of structure for a big organization like that is the general manager. The general manager, in my eyes, is all the district managers. Because what is the general manager's job on a sports franchise? It's to feed the coach the best players possible. Yeah, I know we can only do so much when it comes to recruiting guys, but you got, like, it's 2023. You got to be on the ball of, like, being real that your team can support more people than you think it can. It's just like anything else, like breaking the barrier, breaking the ceiling, you know? You can have more people on your program. And here's the great thing is, you know, an easy way to get rid of toxic people? Yeah. Get more people and they'll become better and they'll eventually surpass those toxic people. It puts the toxic people in check. I've had my fair share of toxic people, very entitled people. And I tell people all the time, I don't care how long you've been selling Cutco, I don't care how much Cutco you sell. If you do not fit into the culture, because culture is king, then eventually, at some point, people will pass you by and you will not have a home here. But anyways, to wrap on that one point, that's the way that I view it, and it's worked well so far. Management and events go hand in hand. This is the way. If you haven't seen Mandalorian, watch it. Also great. This is the way, guys. For real, though. The way that we promote it with our programs, super simple. Like, everyone does MIT, and if you qualify events, you are required to do events as well. You do both. It is not a path. It's not a choice. Like, and what I mean by choice is, I don't mean like, all right, I have to choose this or I have to choose that. What do I want to do? Baby reps, they have no idea what they want to do. So the idea is till they figure that out, they're going to do both. The great thing is both sides have pros and cons. Assistant manager title is great, but the DVMs and the district managers in Gulf Coast and Lone Star understand this concept at this point. Is like, oh, if I recruit a lot of studs this summer, I want to put them on the events team while they're going through MIT so they keep making money. Because you don't really make a lot of money as an AM, and sometimes it's hard to pick up the phone after you went so hard during the summer for most of the new reps. It's just a real problem. So you got to give them something new and refreshing that's going to keep them engaged to build long term. Your managers will appreciate that, and if you do stuff for your management staff, it will come full circle to you eventually. And then this one got hit already, but I will piggyback on that 100% about the going to the staff meetings. You go to the staff meetings. Don't ever be like, man, I wish our DVM came to our meetings, and you don't go to theirs. Reciprocity, real thing. Start the process. Go there first. Okay? Don't ask and not give. That's not cool. So I don't go to every single staff meeting. Just depends on when they fall, right? But I go to a pretty good amount of them. Stacey doesn't have any of them. Kathy doesn't have a ton of them throughout the year. But the ones they do have, especially the very important ones going into summer and whatnot, I'm 100% a part of those. And I speak for maybe like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And I'm just giving them updates because you have to remember, you can't assume that they're dialed into the program as much as you are, because they definitely are not. So what is the end game here? Your end game is to get XYZ support from your management staff. Well, let's be honest with yourself, be real. Make sure that you are actually giving something of value back to them too. And then eventually over time, as you give, it starts coming back to you and it creates a cycle, and it's very healthy to be in that cycle. You keep getting fed recruits who are excited. I don't say I don't recruit anymore. I definitely recruit. That's like one of our main things. However, though, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. If I set up at a booth at a conference, events program is like plastered like all over the culture with those two divisions, right? It's like, Dante, can't wait. I'm gonna be your top rep every year. I'm gonna be your top rep. I'm gonna be top trainee, whatever. But it's like, I don't even have to like pull people anymore. They just show up. Now, I'm not saying there's a couple kids that don't make it, but I'll just wrap it up with that. I could talk forever.
Question for Dante. Can you just go over what you pay your assistants or what you do to compensate assistants?
So more than one right answer, as Brian would say with this too. There's different ways you can do it. Some people do shifts. Some people do extra opportunities. We do it with payment. Like, that's just how I've done it for me. But a lot of different ways have been proven to work, right? So you got to figure out what works best for you. For us personally, so assistants, again, going back to the first wave that we did, when I had multiple part-times, they only had small responsibilities. They did it. They got $1,000 a campaign. That was it, right? It was a labor of love, but they helped out a lot. But when I went to the full-time assistant, I paid her like $48,000 a year is what I paid her. And she was on payroll, she was official and all that stuff, right? But I'm telling you, like, she replaced like my personal assistant that did all my rep work. She replaced all the part-time assistants. Like, she did that for a number of years, or not a number of years, year and a half, right? And then thankfully we get to keep it all in-house now because I have Angie. And so Angie did leave a job where she was making like 70 grand, something like that. And so she left that job to be at home more so we could spend more time together. And whenever that happened, like, it was like a small step back initially, but I can already tell it's going to be a massive long-term gain with that because she is way worth more than $70,000 a year, 1,000%. Like, she's very good at what she does. Are there anyone from the events department still here? Oh, sorry. There you go. Oh, you know, she calls you guys. Oh yeah, she's on the ball. For sure. So to answer your question, like, I'll say this. I'm a big believer. So if you don't follow Alex Hormozy, you definitely should. I believe in a lot of his principles and his philosophies about business. If I did not have Angie, let's play that scenario, right? Because not everyone has a wife that's in that position right now. So if I had someone like an Angie who was not my wife, I would 1,000% try to pay her minimum $60,000 this year if I could. Like, I would find, if she was that good, I would pay her as close as I can to 1.5 times what the going rate is for something like that. And I'm not saying you guys have to follow that model. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying is that I really want to get the right person in place now, make sure they feel well compensated and taken care of, so that way it frees up a lot of stuff on my plate so I can just keep doing more things long term as well. Again, I'm not saying it's the right way. I might have a completely different answer for you in a year and a half. I don't know. But as of right now, that's the current model that we're in, but a lot of different models have been proven to work. You just have to find what works for you.
Where does that money come from?
My paycheck. My paycheck. Nope. Our team account is for buying more booths, managing the storage units and different things. That is a personal choice. Again, I'm not saying you have to do that. That is a personal decision I chose to make. Josh Mueller.
Yeah, I just want to point out what Dante just said. Like he said earlier, he made 6 figures as a coordinator this past year. What he just said is he's now reinvesting half of that back into support roles of his people. So that's one of the benefits of the growth, right? When you get dedicated to the growth, when you get all the right things in place, when you're in partnership with your DVMs and your district managers and all of that, right? You grow a program that gives you the ability to make those types of investments.
Can I make a plug on that too? This is perfect as well. The only reason why I can afford to do that is because I get paid 3%. If you're not making 3%, thank you, Brian Carter, for teeing that up for me as well. Here's my beliefs. If you're doing the work for 3%, you deserve 3%. That's the going rate for a quality coordinator. If you are not doing the things that earn you 3%, you do not deserve it. Real talk. So, not sure what you guys get paid right now. Again, it's very different in different areas.
That's an earned opportunity. It's not an entitlement.
100%.
3%, we were at $2 million organizations. We had done the work, we laid the foundation, and we earned the right to be able to go and make that ask. So I 1,000% agree with that.
For sure. And I took that from TGP, and we've spread it all across Southwest region. Like, all of us have spread it. Like, I'm pretty sure every court, Philip, you make 3, right? That's right, you do. You got paid. Yeah. As well. But again, I 1,000% agree with Brian on this. It is an earned opportunity. Earned opportunity, for sure. But if you're doing the legwork, you should get the payday.
Now I have a question.
Yes, Josh.
Can you break down that 3%, where it comes from, please?
Great question. So, we decided to do it 1-1-1. The way that I view it is very simple, is that if you receive income from the program, you also pay a slice of that back into the person that runs the program. So we do 1-1-1, which is 1% DVM, 1% district manager, 1% rep. That is how we do it, okay? You can chop it up however you like, but I'm a very strong believer that here's the reality. The rep makes money, yeah, they pay show costs and stuff, but they're getting that opportunity. There is nowhere that says that you are entitled to working on the events program. You choose to be part of it. You are not entitled to be part of Realtor. You are not entitled to be part of industry. You are not entitled to be part of federal or anything like that. If you choose to opt into the events program, then you also agree to the price of entry, which my belief is paying the freaking people that do a lot of that work, that goes unappreciated. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. And so 1% to that rep because they get paid on their sales, 1% to that district manager because that helps them squash a lot of campaign bonuses in the fall and spring. Braden's here. Braden's like one of my favorite district managers, and he's in Alabama. Alabama, perfect. I promise he's one of my favorites. So, but Braden is constantly asking questions, and he's even helping Philip now. I don't know what title you guys official. Let's call it assistant co-coordinator type thing, whatever it may be, right? But Braden is very adamant about finding new events for his people. He's very adamant about pushing people onto the program, and I'm sure he hits a lot of healthy numbers partly because of the events program. And Philip gets paid more, he gets more people, Braden gets more success, the world goes round, you know? This is 2023 Cutco on the events coordinator level. That's where it's at. And then 1% on the DVM. The DVM gets paid. I know their margins are a little bit less, but they're covering that's a lot of CPO that's being covered. They're getting the most CPO pulled into their division. They're making good income from that. And the DVM's getting paid on it. They should pay into it as well. So, yes, hopefully that answers that. But thank you for bringing that up for sure. That's how we do it, but you should be making 3% if you earned the right to earn 3%.
And you're not double dipping out of a DVM if the rep tabs from the DVM's office?
No, 100% we do.
Yeah, they earn their DM and DVM in that capacity.
So you would still be making
Is 3%. there is no asterisks. It is. I used to have asterisks. It sucked because once I actually ran the numbers, let me tell you guys something real quick. You know what almost got me to quit as a coordinator in 2021 was when I actually did my first time my profit and loss as a coordinator, not just as a rep. I almost quit. I was pissed. And what I mean by pissed, I was very grateful for the opportunity, but I was really deflated because I've done so much work up to this point for a couple of years to actually see the real number that I'm making on the bottom line, right? So here's what happened. 2020 happens, right? Our team still sold 1.1. Us and TGP were the only people that hit $1 million that year. I think that should be appreciated. I had to scratch and claw and fight tooth and nail that year to make sure my people got to work. The weekend leases for the malls, that was us. Like we were the ones that guinea pigged it with South Texas, with Lone Star at the time, and proving the concept that weekend leases work. You can do a random drop in and you can sell Cutco, right? We did all that stuff, but I used to make, quote, 3%. Quote. So with that being said, it was, but the asterisk was like, well, but if they're like a CSP at this level, we'll pay you 0.5%, or if like the CSP is also in the division manager's office, you're not going to double dip, so you make this. Do you know what my actual true percentage came out to? Less than 2%. That was the true real number that happened on the bottom line. Now, I am very lucky because I have Stacy Campbell, and Stacy Campbell is one of the most humblest people in this business, bar none. And so what I love about working with Stacy about this kind of stuff is that it was very real. In January, I had a whole list of tasks that I was going to get ready, like get our malls ready and get stuff for the next season and all that jazz, right? But I did my profit and loss that day, and once I saw that number, I was like, that can't be right. Redid the numbers, redid it a third time. I was like, that's the number. Do you realize how much I immediately did not want to work? I was like, oh, all these coordinator tasks, I'm definitely, call it a holdout, I guess. I was straight up like, hey, I love what I do and I love my job. I love coaching wrestling too, but that's a labor of love, and this is my whatever. Yeah, exactly. One of those words. So, yeah, and the reason why I'm sharing this and going in depth with you guys, because I know a lot of you guys probably are going through something similar right now with this, with maybe a DVM or a district manager or whoever. And so I sat down with Stacy and I just showed him the numbers. And when he saw him, he was like, I see where you're coming from. I understand now. He's like, let's go and put a plan together. At the next staff meeting, I want you to come to it so that way we can share this with them. Because at the time also DMs weren't quote unquote like really paying. Like Stacy was paying a little bit more. It's just how it worked out. But point is, was being underpaid. So once we broke down the numbers, shared it to the managers, it wasn't a question on like, hey guys, we're going to vote on this. It was like, no. If we want to retain a really quality coordinator, then we need to make sure to pay that person to make them want to stay. And so thankfully, Stacy was awesome. And like, we got 3%. There was no more asterisks. It was flat rate. And I have never been happier. And guess what happened? We like that year like scraped into 1.1, 1.2 because it was COVID, a lot of stuff canceled, stuff like that. That happened, but that inspired me for us to like really pop. And then like now we're gonna triple sales, like 2.5 triple sales since that time basically at the end of this year probably. And I would say the investment is well worth paying the extra 0.5% or 1% as well too. I love the managers in this room, but for the love of God, please don't skimp on it. Yeah.
This is just really important to me.
Sorry, you had so many
One
thoughts
thing
on
to
that.
I'm so sorry. But guys, when you talk to DMs about this, please just make sure you're coming at it from a business perspective. Make sure you're coming to them. And I just explained to my DMs when that topic has come up, and I've had this conversation with a dozen DMs around the nation, probably some of yours, is that I'm not going to do this to you, but you are creating a situation with misaligned incentives. You're creating a situation where a future coordinator is in their best interest to not staff the people from your pilot office and do it in a way that's subtle and you
also helps is, as a coordinator, a little plug for malls. Branch managers, when they're done branching, they need money. And so are new DMs, they need money. And so I've used the mall program to help the management as well stay with Cutco, because they're making money in the off-season. You know, the December month, in January month, they have the momentum, because they also have to restart their savings for the next branch, right? So if you go to your DVM, and you're giving opportunities to his branch managers or her branch managers and their new DMs to work events, they have more buy-in too now. They're like, wait a minute, I'm gonna retain managers, I'm gonna retain more reps. You're helping create that. So you just can't go and ask for money if you're like dropping the ball as a coordinator. You gotta do things first and then ask for stuff after the results are showing. That just works better. And thank God J. Brad took it upon himself to actually go to Stacy and would ask Dante questions. Like, he's reached out to you and talked to you. And then he comes to me, he's like, Leah, so I think with the pay structure, I only get paid 2%. But then again, I only coordinate 130 events in my area. So it's a smaller territory. My division was carved out, you know, in 2000 from 2 big territories, and they just gave us a sliver. And so we're just trying to expand that sliver to be bigger, because we're developing people. And so over time, as DVMs make more money, like people are making more money, you're gonna get paid more too. You just have to do the things now to then reap the benefits later.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we gotta wrap it up here, guys.
Good questions, though.
What's that?
I was saying good questions.
Yeah, great questions. All right, let's give these guys another round of applause. Thank you very much.